We made the decision that we would spend money on strengthening relationships by traveling to origin and really having proper, real direct trade, and we have. And then we also spend that money now on performance coaching for the business, for us and our senior team, so that we can be better business operators. That's got more value to us and our business and our industry than a trade show. I think we probably miss out on a few good parties, but that's okay.
If you're starting or growing your business in these volatile times in coffee and you need a little extra support, our scope of business advisory services may be just what you need. Join one of our hugely successful mastermind groups for support in a group setting, or send us an email to discuss our one-on-one consulting and business advisory services, where we'll work with you one-on-one to solve specific problems in your coffee business. All our services come with a 100% money-back guarantee, so send us an email at support@mapperforward.org and let us know how we can help you today. Welcome to the Mapper Forward Middle East podcast, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 2 of a 5-part series with Kim Thompson and Matt Toogood from Raw Coffee Company here in Dubai. And we are talking about the specialty coffee shop that started it all in the Middle East. Obviously, Raw Coffee Company is the OG. In the last episode, we talked about the myths and the history behind Raw. And in this episode, we're talking about the relationships within our industry. I knew that relationships were important to you guys the first time I met Kim, because I met Kim first and then I met Matt later. Kim, I met you at World of Coffee Dubai. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing that I could want or need that you couldn't have done for me. And one of the things you kept saying to me, anything you need while you're here in Dubai, let me know. Anyone you need to meet. I knew immediately that you lead with, how can I help? How can I be of service? What can we do? You're a values-driven business. You're values-driven people. And instead of taking, you give. And I suspect over 17 years, you guys have learnt that that doesn't happen for everybody. It happens with the people that you can see that you're aligned with, right? It's one of the big business lessons we all learn when we stay in business for this long, right?
No, I was just thinking that we believe in something called insights with personality profiling. And Matt's the CEO of the company and I'm the managing director, because we both couldn't be have the big seat, and he's much better leader than much better, stronger leader than I am. But we have such different personalities that I remember when I did my profile, I was so disappointed because it was so people focused. And, you should have a balance between people and productivity. And Matt's this, high achieving red, and I'm this little old green down here. And I remember thinking that it was just it was weak, but actually the people part of the business is really important, and the relationships we have are really important. And I think, you look back, we were in a meeting just before we started this, where someone reminded us that it's 3 years since COVID finished. And, we use COVID as a measurement now, like pre-COVID and, post-COVID and during COVID. And I think I couldn't believe it was 3 years already. But if we didn't have the relationships that we had, I think COVID would have been much tougher on us than it was, because we had continuity of supply with all of our coffee. And we were able to talk to, our landlord and people, because we had really good relationships. So, yeah, it's important. Yeah.
Lee, you're one of the few people in the coffee industry that has been around in this coffee industry for as long as we have. The relationships that you formed 15 years ago were completely different to the coffee industry today. Like the first time that we went to London was the World of Coffee London. And, we...
When was that?
11. And we went to Penny University, and we're with James and Tim at Penny University. Now, if you don't know who James and Tim are, then that's too bad. It doesn't matter. They're very important people to us in our industry. But I had my very first Ink Willem and Joey and, we watched Michael win his championship. right? All these people that started specialty coffee is what we got exposed to initially when we started in the business.
And we came back and realized that we had to change everything about what we were doing. Yeah.
I did a roasting course with Tim Wendell. I spent 2 days with Tim teaching me how to roast.
And I did sensory courses.
Yeah. With Tim Varney.
Pre-apps, Cropster, But yeah, we definitely, we came back and we changed everything.
So those relationships that we formed, my coach, shout out to Mate at 42 Coffee in Hungary. Mate was my coach because he was living down here. He went on and I was able to give back to him by helping him build his roastery in Hungary. So, those relationships, they were a luxury. They weren't, we were really lucky to start those. I don't think that you can step into the industry now and get those relationships.
In the early days, with everyone that owned a Cropster, so Stelios, who we buy our roasters from, we went up and we did a coffee roasting, like coffee tool roasting weekend with Joey up in Vienna.
There was only 15 of us who had.
It was amazing.
It was incredible.
And we did all help each other, not so much from a green sourcing, but from a knowledge sharing.
But what was interesting is back then we used not the trade shows; it was the competitions that we went to, and we formed those relationships. But those relationships are stronger because we're no longer all doing those trade shows. We're no longer doing those competitions.
Yes, there was a time when I think competitions was an opportunity to share knowledge. And then I think for many years we've known that doesn't add any value to our business or our knowledge anymore. So I think the trade shows and the competitions, sorry everyone.
If you want to lose your best baristas, some competitions.
Well, I want to harp on that for a second, because as you guys know that our industry is going through a very challenging moment at the moment. And you guys know that I've been very public about the fact that Mapper Forward won't be going to any trade shows this year. We haven't in any way, our business has not suffered at all from not going to trade shows. And I know you guys haven't been to World of Coffee Dubai these last few years. You haven't been to any trade shows anywhere. Has it, and your business from our conversations hasn't suffered? You've been focusing on your business.
It's super simple, Lee. It costs our business at least, this is excluding our time, but this is just cash that we have to pay, $100,000 US to do one trade show.
To do it well.
Yeah. I mean, right? I want people to understand that number. $100,000. The only ones that really can afford that are not the people who are custodians of coffee. There's no way you can be a custodian of coffee. And by that, I mean somebody who is a producer or a roaster or a cafe owner or a barista or anything like that. You cannot be a part of the main coffee supply chain. You're a part of the shadow coffee supply chain that can afford to go to those trade shows and have these booths. Because if you're going to do it, you have to do it well.
We made the decision that we would spend money on strengthening relationships by traveling to Origin and really having proper, real direct trade, and we have. And then we also spend that money now on performance coaching for the business, for us and our senior team, so that we can be better business operators. That's got more value to us and our business and our industry than a trade show. You know, I think we probably miss out on a few good parties, but that's okay. We're getting older.
We should say that though. Like, it's not that they're not fun. Like, it's great to see everyone. It's great to check out of your life for a minute and just have a good old catch up with everyone, and they're great social events.
Yeah.
But we're not in like 2015 anymore where, you know, everything seems pretty stable and everything seems quite fine. 2025 is a very different era for the coffee industry than 2015 was, or than 2005 was.
Well, I think my idea of what sustainability means is completely different now than it maybe was 10 years ago as well.
That's a great
because
point.
I think, for in a saturated market, with all of the challenges that we have, the same as every other coffee business has, you have to have a sustainable business. You're an employer. You're buying products. There needs to be some viability of your business to be properly sustainable. And I think we decided to put our heads down and really concentrate on being better business operators and concentrating on that.
Look, it's scary as an industry how bad we are as business people.
Word. It's the thing that I have been saying for so long. And again, goes to the point from the last episode. 17 years later, new business owners are making the same mistakes that we were making 20 years ago.
Yep.
I think it used to almost be cool to be hip and,
And lose money?
Yeah.
But no, that's not cool. I know that. That's not cool.
It's like the struggling artist, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was sort of tattoos and piercings and, that it used to be cool. And I don't think we've never been hip, although I think we've been called corporate hippies because we have different values around.
I think you're cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. I think you're cool.
Cool grandmother. But yeah, it's, and you want growth as an individual yourself anyway, don't you? So you want to keep learning. And I think we have a sense of responsibility towards the people who rely on us, whether that's our coffee producers, our team, our customers, our B2B customers. So you just want to keep getting better.
But it's also, it's really important. Like Kim was on the phone the other day to one of our wonderful producers who we just love spending time with, let alone buying coffee from. And the conversation was easy to have that there was a situation where they just needed some cash, right? It was just that simple. Listen, we're going to need to produce this coffee, not just for you guys, just in general, and we've got a cash shortage. And, to have someone be able to say that, and it's like, it's not going to sound cliche, but being in the family to say, okay, look, not sure what we can do, but we're definitely there to try and sort this out, because this is not a trade-to-trade relationship. This is your business needs to be sustainable. Our business needs to be sustainable. And sometimes we have to actually ask for help. We've definitely asked for help with people in our life, and we expect people to ask for help from us as well. And it can only work if you actually have that trusted relationship, and that you can't buy that, and you can't just go out there and say, I'm going to be a direct trader. You actually have to go and understand what the values are. Have you got an alignment, and can you actually trust each other enough to be able to be in a relationship that's more than just transactional. And that's, I think, what's missing a lot. And look, there's not 100 producers out there, right? So we're lucky, I know 2 of our producers are not going to be able to take on new customers for the next 5 years. They just don't have the supply.
There's a lot of producers that don't have the supply anymore, and it's just getting smaller.
Yeah.
Something else with relationships at the other end would be, I think the Middle East is quite a big place. The MENA is a big place, but the UAE is small. As a population is small. And then Dubai is small. And the Abu Dhabi is small. Sharjah is small. So relationships are built on trust and honesty, hey? So there's a lot that goes on where there's maybe not entirely factual things happen, or we see on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people that have raw in their previous employment history where they were apparently the head barista or the head technician for raw. And it's like, wow, really? And it's there in their LinkedIn profiles, and they're really happy to have it there. And there's a lot of bravado.
And it's not true.
No. And founders or entrepreneurs that are earning salaries that are funded by great big, international brands behind them. And it's funny because I think we are old school. Reputation is really important. And we will always pay our suppliers on time, and we pay our team on time. And we will never, I don't see us ever changing that ever, no matter how big we're going to get. It's really important to us that we build a brand that we can be proud of, but we have, honesty and trust as integrity at the bottom of it all. But I think there's a lot of people that maybe in the old days you used to think you could come to the Middle East and make money really quick and then get out. I don't think those days are, I don't know very much about, crypto and Bitcoin and real estate. And so maybe it's still possible. But if you're going to be in hospitality and F&B, I think those days are gone.
For sure. And by the way, we will happily accept a email or a phone call from someone doing a reference check. I don't that reference check. It is just bizarre. Someone says that they were the head of R&D for Raw Coffee Company. Cool. I didn't realize I'd lost my job.
So basically what you're saying is if anyone out there that's listening to this gets a resume from someone who says that they work from Raw, call Matt and Kim and check.
Yeah.
Or just ping us a message on LinkedIn. We've got a company managing our LinkedIn now because we don't use it properly. So they'll send us a message.
And we'll have links in the show notes for it. As we talk about relationships and wrap up this episode, there is one thing, a story you told me once, Kim, that really warmed my heart when you were telling me about it. And that was the relationship that you have with, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but the relationship that you had with some of the other OG founders in the region, you were telling me about the founder of Sulelat.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And Sarah.
Yeah. And Sarah. Yes. Really lovely.
The beautiful stories of how those big, massive companies, just like Raw, how they started their journey.
Yeah. And I think you've done an interview for Series 1. Yeah. So,
with the folks with James and Shireen from Bunny.
Good people.
And actually, we're really close with another roaster down here that people probably don't even know about called Orbis. We're really close with Justin because we play in different segments of the market. We started at the same time. He's got really good values as well. If they sometimes, they might run out of their green decaf beans and things like that. And I think his ops manager or his MD is called Kim as well. So there's a little group of us that know each other quite well, that we don't compete directly and we see each other socially and we get on really well.
Yeah.
And Sulelat, for anyone that doesn't know, is in Saudi Arabia. The reason I bring this up is because I want to ask you guys this question. What does it mean to have these relationships that stand the test of time, where you get to witness other people growing these things, falling down and getting back up? I know in my own life that, people who I met throughout my journey who would tell me that I'm a business owner. I'm like, bro, you've been doing this for 5 seconds. You can't call yourself, I know you own a business, but you haven't been tested with the fire yet. And as they did get tested through the fire, my respect for them grew and our friendship grew because I knew that they were going to weather those storms, and the relationships just get supercharged that way as you've witnessed each other's journey. What do those relationships mean for you guys?
Sometimes at some point you're just going to need to pick up the phone and ring someone and just say,
yeah.
Where you can actually just be you and they're not going to get someone who's going to judge you. If you don't have those people in this industry that you can do that, who can actually tell you the truth, say, look, you're crazy, you're doing this wrong, you've got the wrong perspective on this. We have that because we're business partners. So we have a huge, we created it. So we are lucky, but we created it. But, we have people within the industry who we can literally call up and say, with no judgment, ask them questions. about what we're doing or, the way that we're feeling. And that is a big, big, big thing. If you're
if they are with the CIA.
Yeah.
Shout out to James. Shout out to James from Bunny. He's not from the CIA. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke, folks. But James will be listening to this, and so we'll share him from Bunny. And
I think
we
that
just thought it's a joke.
Something that's real and true is that you're going to make mistakes at various, whether that's reading people wrong, or thinking you have a relationship with a customer that you're supplying and things break down. There's going to be disappointments along the way. And I think we read a lot and we do a lot of growth, reading and training. So we have people who are not involved in our industry who we really value and respect, who are a businesswoman and businessmen that give us really solid critique, and they listen to our ideas. They tell us not to do things, we do them anyway, and then we have to go back and say, you were right, we should have listened. And so I think there's having that support mechanism is really, really valuable. I'm not sure that we actually use the people that are in coffee for that, bouncing ideas off. I think we do it more with the business mentors that we respect, to be honest.
You know what? There's something that I do all the time, and it's kind of like I get through the day and I'm not stuck, but I'm just kind of bored with what I'm doing and I need like a reset. We're so lucky to be able to walk down to the cafe, and there is going to be somebody who's been a customer for 10 years or 5 years or whatever, who you just walk and, and it's not a waste. It's such a valuable thing to be able to go down and just have a chat, and it's not about coffee. It's about, what are you doing? How are you feeling? How's it going? And it's not just a how are you conversation. I've just finished a conversation with a long-term customer. I'm not going to talk about what we talked about, but, for them to be able to trust the information they're sharing shows you that we actually have a community, and it's a real community, which means that, Dubai gets redeveloped again and we move location or do something else, that community will come with us and follow us, because it's not about the building, it's not about the paint job, it's about the values that we have and the way that they can be in a space where they, are getting everything they need.
And that's going back to this whole Arabic sort of culture, heritage.
Majlis.
It's very authentic. Majlis, where you'd meet, you'd have your coffee, you'd chat, and then you discuss business or you discuss politics or whatever it was going on. That's real. We get the benefit of that having the cafe, because we go down and we mingle and chat to our customers that, we've got their numbers in our phones, and they'll tell us when they hear about things. They share things on WhatsApp groups with us, which is very cool, because we don't always know what's going on in the tech world or the financial world or the real estate world. And there's things growing and changing all the time.
But it's not just
we get to hear about it.
But it's not just us; it's our team.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, when all the regular customers come in, and the team are all huddled around, and they're all, we should probably monitor how much coffee that they're just.
No, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, it's quality control.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us to what our next episode is going to be about, which is the reality of the Dubai cafe scene. With things changing so much in our city, it's important for people to understand that this is not a city that, the scene gets established and then it stays like that for 20 years. Let's say like a city like Melbourne or a city like Sydney or, Auckland or whatever it is. A lot of those places, once the coffee culture is established, it just kind of grows and evolves. Here it completely changes. So join us for the next episode, folks. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.